started too far into the webinar, we do have a disclaimer to read. Trade Ideas is a publisher. You understand that no content published as part of the Trade Ideas trading service constitutes a recommendation that any particular investment security, portfolio of securities, transaction, or investment strategy is suitable for any specific person. And we'll show that slide shortly too, so you can read the whole thing yourself. I'm going to go ahead and let Steve and Andy take over. I'll come back on later on to remind you all of some offers we have for you. Oh, yeah, I already mentioned the thing about the questions. Please use the questions panel. That's all good. I'll turn you over. Hey, Steve. How's it going?
Hey. Good, Scott. Thank you. What's up, Andy?
Hey, how you doing, Steve?
Good, loud and clear. All right, ready to go. Well, Scott took care of the disclaimer. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in today. We're going to talk a little bit about Trade Ideas platform scanning software. This is a unique 14, almost 15-year-old program now that Andy and I have been using ever since inception. I'm user number 3 in our system. Andy's user number 40 in the system. We've had a lot of growth, as Scott mentioned here, over the last year. So we're now part of the all full-time team with helping everybody learn the program and helping Dan here. You see the CEO. Dan was supposed to be your moderator today, but unavailable. He's been a busy guy lately. And Dan is actually the first person that got Andy and myself into trading back in 1998. So he's cut his teeth as a trader back from the mid-90s. And in 2002, started Trade Ideas and came to me and said, Steve, I want you to beta test this thing. Can you give me some ideas of what you might want to look for? And then, the rest is kind of history. So we'll get rid of his slide and just a quick bio on myself. Again, like I said, user number 3 of the system. And Andy on the line here is user number 40. I've been trading markets since 95, starting with futures, and then met Dan in 98, trading U.S. equities, met Andy in 98. Myself and Andy created a educational service called Today Trader, which is also my handle on Twitter. But one of the things that found us doing was actually going over to China for a 6-month contract to train some of the prop traders in China that were up all night trading our U.S. markets, and that was really interesting. And that led to some desktop sharing services that we did as we came back in 2008. Moved our emphasis on towards swing trading, or swing scalping as we called it, and Andy and myself both managed Ditto Trade, which is a mirrored account, which is a technology where you could basically open up a brokerage account, and you could attach your trades to our trades. So everybody got the same fill. Everybody was in the same price. True transparency, and happy to say we did outperform the market over those 3.5 years, and that was a fun time. That technology has since gone, but nonetheless, a nice feather in our cap. So today, we are in the throngs of I think it's our 4th open house, where essentially we open up all of our tools and features to everybody to try and kick the tires for just $8.88 a month. And I'm not exaggerating when I tell you it's been a very busy week. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in here kicking the tires this week on the Trade Ideas technology. So registration has been extended to February 9th, and it's kind of just exclusively because we were doing this webinar with your group today. If your group was not aware of it, we were going to stop registrations today on the 8th, but we're going to do it one more day on the 9th. If you're interested in coming in and getting 5 trading days of access to what we're about to show you here, just copy down this link right here, trade-ideas.com, test drive, and you can sign up and have 5 days of really cool access to everything that we're about ready to show you here. So as I mentioned, Trade Ideas is a very old technology. We've been building on top of it on the architecture since 2003. It's 14 years of technology that we're building on top of. So we're also integrated into the Scottrade Elite platform, the E-Trade platform, eSignal, Lightspeed, and also we're connected to StockTwits, which is a social media platform. We monitor a lot of their data as well. But we are one of the fastest growing financial subscription service right now in the U.S. And here's a quick visual on that. When we really started to focus back here was mostly business to business, but we really started to focus business to consumer back in this area. And the orange arrow there basically indicates where we introduced our artificial intelligence technology, which of course we will certainly touch on. But myself and Andy basically joined here, and we've got a lot of things to offer people. Primarily, we pride ourselves on support. When we do our surveys, that's always one of the big cloud words that come back at us. Great support. Love your support. So just a quick breakdown on our support. We have this live free trading room every day. Hundreds of people come in and watch Barry Anderson trade his account using Trade Ideas technology and answer a lot of questions, help a lot of people out. There's other good traders in there as well calling out what they're doing. So, you know, a lot of people are paying money for chat rooms that are giving you this type of value, and we're giving it to you for free. Whether or not you have trade ideas, it doesn't matter. Come on in and check it out. We have 4 webinars a week, this being usually one of them on Wednesday, but 5 o'clock Eastern on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, we have webinars that are focused on different aspects. We talk a little bit about trading, we set some alerts, we even give out some ideas and do some questions and answers on the technology and really help people there as well. But the main thing is, if you do sign up for 1 month, 1 month minimum subscription would get you a one-on-one training session with us where we share our desktop and basically find out what your needs are and what you're looking for and get you going in the right directions, maybe set up a couple of scans, share a couple of scans with you as well, but really get you going on your way. So all of those things we really pride ourselves on the onboarding and the concierge service of trade ideas. So you're never alone with trade ideas. We're right there holding your hand. Many times Dan, the CEO, will drop into the live trading room and demonstrate making some trading profits, you know, CLRB, probably not a stock you're going to hear on CNBC, but our primary goal here using trade ideas is to find alpha, find names, find symbols, find things that are doing anomalies, things that are not on the traditional radar that you're hearing about either on TV or social media. So getting back to our AI, artificial intelligence, you know, that's the big buzzword these days, and 14 years of technology we have built on top of that, and that has basically been what the AI is using every evening. And I'll explain going over what is happening in terms of the modeling and the scientific method that we use. We have given the AI a personality. Her name is Holly. And we really feel this is one of the biggest leaps forward in financial technology in decades. And I can tell you all, as I go to the next slide here, the people in the open house this week, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, they've all witnessed firsthand the AI technology creating alpha and creating money, ideas, trading ideas. You know, by the end of the day, the AI has had a pretty good week so far, Monday through Wednesday. But this slide right here just kind of quickly shows you, you know, some of the things that people look at when they're looking at AI. We may get a signal down here in real time, and that signal generates a buy or a sell opportunity. And in this, you might want to put that on mute, Andy. And on this case, the demonstration here shows you on a daily chart where a buy signal was for a really nice candle that day, and on the 15-minute chart here, that orange line signified a really nice buy opportunity just the other day in CPG. And a lot of people ask us, well, is this just for day trading? Well, not necessarily. You know, all trades do start off as a day trade, but you know, at the end of the day, if you've got a good trade going, it's really up to you as the investor to be discretionary as to whether you want to maybe take some off or even let some go for the longer term. I do have a good example to show you today when we go to my live screen. Now, aside from the AI, you know, we also have our basic scans. This A window, this alert window right here, was really all we had when we first started trading back in the early 2000s. An alert would come out. In this case, this is an icon saying we're breaking below resistance, and we still have these, and they're still very valuable. And one of our strategies the AI uses is also a strategy that we have as an alert, and basically shows you what's going on here. This blue arrow at that time indicated that the price was trying to break down through what our algorithm saw as support. It was a bit of a fake out, and then a little bit of sideways action, and then the real move eventually came. So, you know, besides from just AI and artificial intelligence, we do have some really nice scanners that are fully customizable. You can take the scanner and tweak the volume, tweak where you want it to be on the moving averages, maybe Bollinger Bands, whatever kind of indicators you like to use. We've probably got them available to you as a filter. The nice thing about trading with watching Holly is, it's like we call Holly, again, the AI. It's like having an unemotional trader sit next to you, because this AI is not going to fire off a trade idea down here unless there is a statistical probability to do so. And real quick, I'll just kind of show you. This is the parent window here, where we have a few different names of a few different strategies. Some of them are long, some of them are short. Well, those strategies go into what we call our backtesting module. Our backtesting module basically says, and I'll go back a screen, what if an alert like this, every time it came out, going back 3 months, what would happen if we sold short and held for X amount of period? And we get a great return on data from the backtester telling us how well we would or would not have done. Well, that's really essentially what our AI, artificial intelligence, is built on. So we've got about 35 different strategies, long and short. And what they do is they go into the hopper each night, and the AI probably does over 1 million backtest sample trades. And in doing so, creates better filtering, better configurations, and creates a score. And that win percentage score actually shows up the following day here. So we can see, and I've sorted it on this particular screenshot, coming into this particular day, the bullish trend change strategy, which has a hold time of 90 minutes and a profit target of $2, was testing at 67.7 win percentage and with a 6.69 profit factor. So the profits were outpacing the losses in a backtesting environment by 6.6 times over. And then, so on and so forth. Back down here, we've got some different names. But on this particular screen, I'm showing that on this day, the market was down. But, Holly, the AI, said, the majority of the trades today really are coming out on the short side, and that's where the alpha and the money was made on a particular day. So even for people who maybe have a hard time pulling the trigger, going short, or flipping their mind upside down, looking at a chart, it's really nice to have this tool sitting next to you so you can see what's going on in real time in terms of what an artificial intelligence with zero emotional bias is doing. And I can tell you from experience, there's been many days where you might have 0 trades here in this window, and all of a sudden you see 4 or 5 trades come out short. And it's 10 o'clock Eastern. Well, we've got economic data probably coming out at 10 o'clock Eastern. And I tell people to pay attention to just directional bias. You don't really have to pay attention so much to each individual trade, but even the directional bias many times will give us a good hint of as traders as to what might be coming around the corner here in the next minute or two, as the indices start to catch up and roll over. So my point is, I've seen, many times, long or short, a bunch of trades come out very quickly, and that to me is telling me that the AI is seeing a directional bias, and you might want to pay attention to that if you're ever using this particular product, because more often than not, I've seen the market roll over after Holly put a few shorts on real quick, kind of like an early warning system. Last year, the AI was our first year, and we went from January to January and outperformed the market handily. When I say the market, I say the spiders. There was a recent press release on that. If anybody's curious about that press release, you could email us, info@trade-ideas.com. We'd be happy to send you that press release. But what I did here is just went back to 2017. I mean, we're only 1 week into February, and it looks like the AI at the end of the day, or the end of 5 weeks, or whatever you want to call it, has posted about 30 points of gain total as recommendations on that tool, where the S&P spiders are maybe only up about 6 points for the year. So that's how we're measuring, but visually you can see immediately a really nice separation at the end of each day, what the AI is pulling out in terms of dollar points versus what the S&P did with dollar points. And our AI, Holly, does not have the luxury of starting each day with a gap up or a gap down, so every day is starting from scratch. Just a quick, gratuitous comment in there about somebody who's enjoying our product. And, the last slide before I take you live here is, how easy is it? If any of you are thinking about trying the open house deal that we're going to extend 1 more day, it's as simple as signing up, downloading a file, and then clicking that file on your desktop, and then launching the program. Once the program's launched, we have this thing called a channel bar. which I wish we had in 2002, but we have it now, and it's very, very simple to just kind of come in here and pop in and click on these different channels like you would be on Netflix and kind of surf around. And what's inside each one of these different channels is a full-blown layout with some proven, tried and true customized layouts. I'll give you a few examples as we go into it. So that's really how easy it is, just 1, 2, 3 to get started. And if you have any questions, of course, we do have wonderful support, as I mentioned earlier, in real time. All right, let me just pull this aside here, and let's take a look at my screen. What you're seeing here is my default layout. And I've got a few things on here, a few different scans, and a few different AI windows. And this is what the artificial intelligence basically did today. We had, looks like we had about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 or so winners by the end of the day and a couple losers. And these are coming out in real time. And once again, this is today's list of stocks, or strategies, I should say. These are our strategies. You basically look at this as like a starting lineup on the basketball court. These guys are ready to go, but not every one of them fired. These 3 bottom strategies didn't fire. But let's just take a look here. Last night, these Count de Monet tested at the 60.4 win percentage. Well, it had 1 trade, and it was a winner, so that's 100%. Same thing here, 1 trade for 100%, that was a winner. Get down to this one, a strong stock pulling back, just like it sounds. Basically, it's scanning for a stock that's showing strength in the day. But on a nice pullback, the algorithm gives us a suggested level for entry. Well, there was 2 trades in those today, and looks like they were both making money in a total of at least 60 cents, maybe more if you held on longer. The power hour long, it's kind of like what it sounds like. The last hour of the day is the power hour, and so 2 trades were fired off in the power hour. And I'll actually show you one of those here because I think it creates a good answer for people who say, well, this looks like something that's just good for day trading only. Well, let me give you an example here. Here's the power hour long that came out, ICLR. And as you can see, this blue tag right here in the chart window is basically that was the entry point going into the close. But what I tell people is, it's really up to you to be a discretionary trader. And when you look at this daily chart here, we got a really nice pullback and then a move high, and we've got some resistance very close up here. This could be the kind of chart that you may not have seen on CNBC or in StockTwits or anywhere else that was brought to your attention. And the AI will exit all of the trades before the end of the day. And that begs the question, okay, what are these 2 columns? Well, we have risk on and we have risk off. And risk on is basically for people who really just want to follow in and follow out. And the AI will be very, put it conservative in terms of making sure the positive trades don't go negative. So many times you'll see this thing over here called profit save. Profit save is basically letting us know that the AI exited this trade on a trailing stop for the most part. A trailing stop. You can see the 2 winning trades up here, the biggest winning trades, excuse me. They both went all the way to the end of their time duration. So nice chart is a strategy called Nice Chart, and it looks like that one is a hold time of 45 minutes. So that strategy is indicated here. The next one that had the time stop, the power hour long, that is a 30-minute strategy. So on the risk off column, if Holly gets out on the exit reason of a time stop or a profit save pullback, trailing stop, excuse me, we call that risk on, basically risk on. But many people might look at a chart and say, you know what, I think Holly's probably getting out a bit too early here. Here was a great example on this one for the most part. I can tell you probably exactly what happened. Got into it. Actually, there was a timed stop on this one, so there was a little bit of a pullback. But on the daily chart, we see a really nice clearing of some resistance. So, it does still require a lot of trader discipline and a trader discretion. But Holly is going to be giving us ideas and generating ideas that we might not normally see elsewhere. And I can tell you there are days when the AI might not even make many trades, if at all. And what that can do is that can be that can be an indicator in itself to let you know, hey, the AI is not seeing any emotion or any statistical probabilities here in the market today. And so you can take a cue from that and say, well, if the AI is sitting on its hands, maybe I should be sitting on my hands a little bit as well. But nonetheless, the open house people have seen 3 solid days of really nice gains, really nice solid trades using our artificial intelligence, and we're real happy with the start we've gotten off to this month. So I've been just rambling on here. Anything you want to add, Mr. Lindloff? Or are you still on mute?
I'm sorry, Steve. I was. I'm talking away over here. Yes. Yeah, I'll give you a little break here. I thought it was a great explanation of our Holly AI, but I will add to because I think it's real important to discover that all these trades are based on probability, and if Holly does get out for time stop or profit save, that's where we tell people, you have to put your trader's hat on, because if the market's going in your favor, the stock is going in your favor, like that WUBA there, or WUBA, whatever you want to call it, breaking out of a little range there, and everything's working. You can see the risk on column is up 92 cents. So and she got out for a 12-cent profit. So you can see there was a lot of meat left on that bone, and she got out for a time stop. So she is optimized. Not only are all her strategies and all her filters optimized each night, but she's also optimized on the amount of time to hold the stock. And in this case, every day is different. So this is where you put your trader's hat on, and if everything's still in place, we tell people, there's no reason to get out. And that's so the risk on column is provided for you. So at the end of the day, you're doing your homework, and you see this over and over again, you will start to realize that, oh, wow, this risk on has really been performing well lately. I'm going to try to maybe hold on to some of these trades, longer, because we had to create some parameters, because we do not want winners turning into losers for Holly, and nor should any trader. But if the chart's still intact and everything's going in your direction, yeah, maybe try to hang on to these trades, because they are optimized. The cards are kind of stacked in your favor.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, Steve.
All right. Everything else you see on my screen here is just part of the basic package, our Trade Ideas standard package. This A window, this alert window. This is a fabulous little scan that we've been using as of late. And if I can see here, take a look here, guys. Look, bouncers is a strategy that made 22 cents today using the strategy that comes directly from this guy. This is a little bit, it's very simple to understand, and I want to try to explain to show you that aside from the AI, how simple some of these scanners can work. What Bouncers does, and I want to highlight your attention here, guys, to our daily chart. What Bouncers does is it looks for breaking, it says crossed above resistance. It's hard to see, but that's our algorithm. And the algorithm is looking for stocks that basically broke yesterday's lows, which is right there, and then turned around and came back into yesterday's range. So let me just put yesterday's range right there. That's the low here on my 15-minute chart of yesterday. And then here's today. Here's our signal right here. As we broke back up into today's range, we had a nice little push higher. This is another one I just pulled up at random. Basically, we took out yesterday's lows, and then here is our marker right here with a nice little day trade pop on that one. So what we do is we feed these base strategies, as we call them, to the AI, and the AI improves them. If I was to show you the configuration of this, we just right-click, and there's a couple of icons here. Each one of these represents a certain filter for maybe a position in the day, or even volume filters. But the AI probably has another 2 or 3 rows on top of it, and the AI will essentially maybe pick 1 or 2 a day out of these that come through here. So all of these that come through here are not taken by the AI. The AI has a much more stringent strategy for the ones that it wants to choose. But again, aside from our flagship product, the AI, this can be a really neat little day trading thing that we call bouncers. And so that's called an alert. We also have an alert here. Let's see. This one's looking for hammer candles. All right. For those of you who like your hammer candles, well, I've created a scan called the washout bounce, which basically looks here at this day chart, looking for these types of candles. And I always share this with people that maybe want to do some basic swing trading. After we have a big washout, a lot of people's getting stopped out. Sometimes these washout candles, these hammer candles, can work out for a decent swing trade. So I'm kind of bouncing around here, just showing you some of the different tools that we have in a basic layout. So what I'm going to do is leave here for the moment. Again, this is my custom layout. This is the way I want to see things. But a lot of people, you know, when they first come in, they don't have the ability to just start making custom scans right away, and they want to see things of interest. So what we did is we created the channel bar. And as you can see on the channel bar, we do have a Holly channel, which basically focuses on everything that I pretty much just showed you right here. But let's take a look here. Let's go down. We've got pre-market. This is a really popular one. As you can see, it's just one simple press of the button. And we've got these windows over here, which, by the way, before the market opens in the mornings, these are very, very active windows. It's showing us which stocks are shuffling, getting ready to gap up, and then gap down. Once the bell rings, essentially these windows will freeze, and we could see that DFFN basically gapped up 41.6% today. So this can be kind of a beginning blueprint or a roadmap for some people on the day that really like to play gaps. They can get a good feel for what are the giant percentage gap movers. Now we also have something that's showing pre-market movers. We're scanning in the pre-market that shows high volume, relative volume in the pre-market, things making new highs and new lows, and things in pre-market that are moving up quickly. So this is a popular channel to start off your day. Most people do start their day here. We have a new channel we just added called the Alpha Predator. And this is an interesting alert that a lot of people have been hearing about. It's primarily for those people who like to maybe trade the quick movers in the morning, the low floaters as they call them, the low float rippers. A lot of these things don't have giant float shares, but they're in motion with high volume and positive green on all metrics. You know, positive for 5 days, positive for the last 5 minutes, positive on the day, et cetera, et cetera. So that's another one, and this is a brand new channel. So for you high Momo players who really like the action, the Alpha Predator, let's see if I just click into a couple of these here. I need to zoom in on the daily chart. We can see that a lot of these things did have some green candle action today. So this is kind of where the action is, especially for day traders who might like to jump in and jump out pretty quick. Moving on, we've got a social media channel. As I mentioned earlier, we're connected to the API of StockTwits. And what we can do here is measure the interest of a stock, not so much in volume, but maybe more in social mentions. So we've got one for a bullish mentions and more for bearish sentiment. What's nice about these T windows, these top list windows, which is different from the A window that I showed you on bouncers, they're not full real time. They update every 30 seconds, and it's nothing but a subset of filters. So as long as all these stocks are satisfying these filters, they will show up on this particular top list. We call it a top list because we can double click just like we would on a spreadsheet, and we can say, well, show me the stuff that's up the most in the last 5 minutes, show me the stuff that's up the most in the last 20 days, or what I find interesting is this one here. Show me what is the most interesting and talked about today on StockTwits. Well, for instance, let's just grab this one. APOP was being mentioned 7,900 times more than usual. So this is another way of directing us, the trader, to where the action is and what the mob is certainly talking about. So that is that's the Alpha Predator. No, I'm sorry, that's the social media channel. Surge channel is very similar to kind of the Alpha Predator. That also looks for stuff that's popping up with volume extremely quick, and for you Momo players, usually these things are going to pop up before any news comes out. But let's just take a look here and see something. If I go in and show you, this is really the bread and butter configuration of what we do and what we want. Let's look under the hood here and look at specific filters on this. So basically, this scan has only got a couple of items. It's saying the price is between $1 and $1,000. The change from the close is no more than 2%. And the volume today, that's basically a filter that says, well, we had to have at least done 50,000 shares. But here's where it gets interesting. What Trade Ideas is unique about is we catalog and database over 8 or 9,000 U.S. stocks in the market, and we can quantify those down to the simplest of data points, like what's the average 1-minute volume, what's the average 5-minute volume, what's the average true range over 30 minutes or the day, what's the average volatility for a certain time period. So what we've done here is we're looking at only a 5-minute candle for volume and saying this stuff needs to be doing at least 300% more in the last 5 minutes than it normally would, going back 3 months through our database. And that's pretty much the basics of trying to find things that are exploding out of a range using these types of filters. Let's take a look at another channel. We've got an infrastructure channel. And to answer somebody's question, they asked me, well, what do you have to offer in terms of options? Well, we have an options channel, and this basically is going to show you what we do offer in terms of options. It's a pretty simple amount of data that we use. We're primarily looking at put-call ratio. We're looking at above average volume for puts or above average volume for calls. Let's see here if we go in and take a look at this particular alert. The price is between 10 and 500. Relative volume means 1.3. That means we're doing 30% more volume than we normally would. But then we get down here into the options related stuff. Contracts. Well, we have to have a minimum of 100 contracts done to satisfy that filter. The volume in a percentage term has to be 200% of normal for a stock to come through. And what's happening is basically it's bringing the stock symbol through. It's not so much analyzing the bid or the spread of the options market. It's basically just showing us, hey, this particular stock symbol is doing some very unusual data points here in terms of volume or put-call ratio or contracts. So that is, yeah, thank you. You're welcome. And that is what we've got for you on the options channel. And let me go back to the configure. Like I said, it really all does start here. And this is what I usually show people to try and really overwhelm them at the start. Actually, let me go to an alert window to find that. Let's go to Surge. Back to Surge. Where's an alert window? I need an A window. Price up movement. Volume.
Of course.
Or biotechs, give me an A window, and I just want an alert window to set an example.
You're going to find, I'm afraid, a lot of top lists.
Yeah, I'm just going to have to go back to my default layout. So you guys, you get the basic gist here. This tool is like a Netflix channel bar. There's so much stuff you can click through and find that you want. But let's say, for instance, you're on the volume, the social media channel, and you're really curious about using this particular social media metrics. So let me show you a little shortcut before we go back, and I'll finish my other point. We have a thing called the cloud, which allows us to share and save our configurations without ever losing them in the cloud, just like you would with Apple and all your music. And you can share it with your friends, or you can send us the cloud link, and we can look at it and maybe give you an idea of how you might improve on it. But once we're on these channels, we're kind of stuck with what we got here. We can't make any changes, or we can't do any customization, and I can't see the other stuff I want to see. So what we do is just a real simple little workaround trick here. We just we do save to the cloud, right-click. So I've just saved this AI suggested social media bullish alert. And I want to migrate back to my layout where I can do some more demonstrations. Load layout. So we just go back to my default layout and wait for that to come up. Now I'm free to bring in whatever I just saved into my cloud and stole, essentially, from the settings of our channel bar. And there it is right there. Suggested social media. Now I've got a copy of it. Now I can do other things with it. I can add columns, I can delete columns, I can change colors, I can do whatever I want. It's now my working copy. And so that's a really nice hack. It's a nice takeaway for people who use the channel bar to come in and build the stuff they want to build. You know, some of the things I do have up here have been taken from other people or from the channel bar. So let me close that and go back to my original thought, which was where it all happens. Again, this is the configuration window. And when we go to search, On an alert window, we need two components. We need an algorithm or an event, as we call it, such as a new high or new low or crossed above, crossed below. But as I scroll down here, all these red and green icons are different types of market events, different algorithms that Trade Ideas is looking for: crossing above, below resistance, crossing above moving averages, running up, running down, block trades. We can look for some sort of patterns intraday, looking 5-minute highs, 10-minute highs, everything you'd want to know. And then if you stop and say, well, wait a minute, what's this 5-minute linear regression uptrend? How do I learn more about that? Well, it's real simple. You just highlight it and click your help button. And once you've clicked the help button, it takes you all the way to our documentation page, and you get a really nice description on exactly what it is you're looking there. So as I continue to go down, there's more algorithms, some pattern recognition, some 15-minute hammers, 60-minute hammers, candles, and then we get into these blue and purple items. Well, these are our filters that we were looking at earlier. Volume and the 1-minute percentage, volume. So as you can see, a very extensive library. So what you do is you just come back and you have a conversation. You go to the search window here and you say, all right, Trade Ideas, what do you guys offer in terms of Bollinger Bands? Well, I just typed in the keyword and basically it drills into everything that we have to offer for Bollinger Bands. I see a good question. Do you have depth of market screen? Well, let's ask. Well, do we have anything related to depth? Nope, it doesn't look like we have anything related to depth. But to answer your question, that's how you would do it. If I wanted to see what do we have in terms of gap, well, in gap, we've got not only a couple algorithms that the market, the Trade Ideas is looking for, but we also have the ability to filter for percentages. We could grab this gap percentage here and make that alert viable and say minimum 2%. So in other words, everything coming through a particular scan now has a filter that it has to have gapped up at least 2%. So, continuing on the way, do we have anything on standard deviations? Sure, we've got that. Do we have anything on MACD? Sure, we've got that. Moving averages to the nth degree. We've got crossed above, crossed below. We've got position in relation to the moving average. In other words, I could put a filter in here. I could grab the change from the 50-day moving average percentage, and I could add that filter to my scan and say, look, 0.01. What I've just done is I've just assured myself that every stock that comes through this scan is now at least above the 50-day moving average by 0.01%. So you can start to see just how powerful all this stuff is, and a lot of the things that we offer. Do you like VWAP? Sure, we can tell you where the price is in relation to VWAP, or we can even tell you if there's a VWAP divergence or a crossed above or below. But the point in me doing this here is to just show you this search window is a wonderful way to find what it is you're looking for. You're looking for a 60-minute hammer candle, there you go. And then help would give you, of course, the documentation. So that's really the nuts and bolts of how we go back and configure these things. We pull from all the 4 major exchanges. We do have some over-the-counter pink sheet and Canadian markets as well. Some of the data is not quite as robust as we'd like.
Steve?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, would you have you shown them the documentation page yet? I think that would probably be.
I did.
Oh, you did? Okay, okay, good. I'm sorry.
But again, just to show you, highlight what you want, grab that help button. Browser's going to open up and give you a perfect example and a definition of what it is that you want. So those are your friends. The other thing that's your friend is when you're doing these configurations, you'll notice that we have some buttons here in between. What's this time of day? Well, I happen to know that this particular scanner works best 30 minutes after the open, and then 240 minutes after the open, it's not working so well. And if we press these buttons, it basically gives us a sentence context of what the servers at Trade Ideas understand what your request is. And so it's a second form of getting some really nice help. The 2-minute range was no more than 0.59%. Anything you can think of, really, any combination. And then lastly, you can point these alerts towards a basic watch list if you want. Somebody wanted me to have the IBD 50, the Investors Business Daily 50. Well, inside that is all the IBD 50 stocks, and by doing that, we've just pointed this entire alert to only focus on that handful of stocks that we're looking for, which is essentially what I did over here with these two guys. We've got one as a T window top list, and one is an A window, and I've got a ETF list in here. So the only thing coming through, as you can see, are ETFs. And what that allows me to do today is see that, the banks, regionals, and national banks, biotech, financials, they were all weak today. The strength today was in the China market, retail, and maybe even the bonds and some gold mining and some silver. So that gives me a bigger contextual view of how today's shaping up sector-wise. And then we use the A window for our alert. Well, here's our event, new high, time-stamped, price-stamped in real time, and it tells me what's moving to highs. So at this moment, TAN, which is for solars, was moving to highs for the day as well. So that's an example of how you can use a symbol list to just point towards the things that you want. So that's, you know, kind of an overview in the grand scheme of things of what we do here. Anything you want to chime in, Andy, before we maybe open the floor for some questions about what they're seeing?
No, Steve, I think you did an excellent job. I know people, it's a lot of material, a lot of stuff. It sometimes when you first are looking at it, it can seem overwhelming. But as Steve mentioned earlier, you get great support, great help. We have a one-on-one training where for like 1 hour we take you by the hand and pretty much devote an hour just working solely with you. We do a desktop sharing so we can come in and look at your desktop, share with you some of our best alerts, help you build new ones, configure your layout. So it's not as daunting as it may appear. I mean, there is great support and you get a lot of help here. But
here's a fun one, and then we'll open up to questions. I see your first question, and I'll get to that, Tim. But you know, this one's really easy to understand. For those of you who follow maybe short interest, you know, there's a perfect storm called the short squeeze, where short sellers are losing money and quickly making emotional decisions to get out. And to close a short position, we have to buy. And so when you have short sellers buying to get out in pain, competing with new traders coming in with greed and wanting to get long, we have what we call the perfect storm of a short squeeze. Now, Trade Ideas can monitor just that. I'm going to show you something here called the squeeze me. It's real simple to understand. I'm going to turn off just one little indicator to kind of make a point here, and then I'll show you some stuff. All right, let's turn that off. Click OK. So what we've got here is a top list, T list, of everything that every stock that's out there that has at least 25% short or higher. Follow my mouse down here if you can. This very bottom one, FET, has 25% short the float. The next column is the amount of shares in the float at 59. Okay, well, we got a lot, and as we go higher, we're getting higher in the short float category all the way to the very top, because that's how I am sorting. But the deal is, a lot of these daily charts might not be, you know, ideal for a possible short squeeze. Some of them might be going, you know, to new lows for good reason. Maybe there's a good reason there's that many shorts. But what I want to do is I want to find out, well, where would the shorts be most scared, most nervous, most apt to panic and get out? Probably near a 52-week high. So what can I do to take this list and narrow it down and drill down to only find the stocks that are getting close to a 52-week high? Well, it's a real simple filter, and let me show you. We go back to configure, and this is a big zoom out kind of a concept here. We're calling it position in a year range. This is it right here. So we're looking back 52 weeks, 1 year. So consider 0 would equal the 52-week low, and 100 would equal the 52-week high. If we just come in here and put a minimum value of 90%, I'm basically trying to eliminate everything else that's not close to a 52-week high. So if I click OK, now we get our short list of stocks that are starting to really frustrate the shorts. Look at this. Wow. I would call that a short squeeze at a new high. Why did that go like crazy? Well, the people who are short Tesaro, TSRO, are being very stubborn. They allowed it to go to a new 52-week high today. 45%. That's a huge percentile of 23 million shares. So right here is a classic example. This is your perfect recipe for short squeezes. So I've identified stocks that are going close to a 52-week high and stocks that have high short float percentage and a small circulation as well. So that's just another example, you know, of some of the things that you can do with Trade Ideas and filtering down. But in this case, using short float and short squeeze and trying to find stocks close to a 52-week high, that's where we can really narrow our search to maybe try and hunt down some ideas. And then once, of course, we like what we see, before today, this would have been a perfect example, I can create a price alert right here by right-clicking and call it 52-week high. and I could even put the 43% short float or whatever it was and give myself notes. And then we set that red line right there. And then so today, as the price moved through there, that red line would have triggered, and you would have seen the move from 2140 to 22. So that's how we use our price alerts to make sure we never miss something that we might otherwise want to see. All right, I'll backtrack a bit because I did see a good question, and it's a very good question. How can I link this to my brokerage? I can sit here and double-click all day and change my charts, but if I have to go over to another screen and type in INOV, and it's time-consuming, and we want to be as efficient as possible. So yes, we have a tool that's called external linking. Basically, you just start it right here. Add link button opens up this wizard, and you basically follow the instructions on this wizard and move the cursor over to your other screen or where your brokerage account is and hit the shift key, and it should identify with the API configuration what brokerage you're running. And if you have trouble with that, you can come in and we can try and help and find what the fine-tuned tweak would be. But at that point, once you've launched that, every time you double-click a symbol anywhere in the AI or anywhere in one of our alerts, your brokerage market maker window will change, as well as the charts in your brokerage window. So yes, we have that feature available. Okay, is Fidelity on the list? We should be able to link to Fidelity. Last I heard, we can link to about 90% of what's out there, and Fidelity is a pretty strong, pretty common name. That shouldn't be a problem. External, okay, Bill, we have a workaround on Thinkorswim. I've got a PDF I can give you. If you want to email us at info@trade-ideas, I've got something that has been put together in the last week with some steps and some instructions that might help you with Thinkorswim. That one's been kind of tricky because they're constantly changing their API, but I think we figured out the puzzle and the connection to that. So yeah, go ahead and email us at info@trade-ideas. You can say I heard Steve talking about a PDF, and I'd be happy to send that to you. We've got a few PDFs that we're starting to build now for some of the more complicated linking, but nonetheless, it can be done. All right, link to TradeStation? Yes, we would link to TradeStation as well. Again, probably 90% of the broker platforms out there we can link to, and you basically have to reset the link once a day. As you log out, the link disappears, but you just go back to the link wizard, turn it back on. It only takes about 30 seconds, and then for the rest of the day, whatever you're double-clicking in here in Trade Ideas will update on your broker side as well. All right, did I miss any questions that you can see, Andy?
No, you think what you didn't get, I got, so I think we're doing pretty good. Yeah.
You've been typing away over there. Yeah. So again, as a reminder, before we finish up here, Scott's going to show you a slide and remind you that you can join our open house. We're basically leaving it open one more day, and that'll give you 5 full trading days. But if there's no more questions, I think we've knocked a lot of them out. How about linking with interactive brokers and robot trading? All right, Tim, great question. Interactive brokers and Trade Ideas have been in the beta testing mode, and we're probably a week away from releasing the full release of interactive brokers, which essentially, what does that mean? Well, let's say we really like these bouncers that I was showing you guys earlier. Well, we could take this alert, and we have a robot called Brokerage Plus, which essentially would link to the it'll look like that, and here's where you can start to configure your different strategies and different ideas that you might want to create, and tell the robot, hey, every time a bouncer trade comes out, I want you to trade it through interactive brokers at 100 shares, and I want my stop loss to be this and my profit target to be. So it's the beginnings of auto trading. And Rich is certainly on the cutting edge because he asked this this question about IB. I think it was Rich. Am I right?
Yep.
Tim, excuse me. Tim asked about IB. So, yeah. So on the cutting edge, we're real close. As soon as we get through the open house here, guys, we're going to start to really refocus next week with Brad Williams and Dan Merkin demonstrating the Brokerage Plus interactive brokers rollout. So it's been in testing for a couple of months now, and we're real close to being able to unleash that. So keep an eye out. If you guys are on our mailing list, you'll certainly hear or see something about that, or check back anytime what is the open house, Mark? Right now, we're running a 5-day special where you can try everything that you're seeing here for only $8. And if you stick around towards the end of the slideshow here, we'll have a little bit more information on how we kept the door open for one more day. So for those of you, you basically have until this evening, or I'll let Scott clarify that. Maybe it's tomorrow. But the door is closing, but it's still available. If you miss it, you're going to probably have to wait another 3 months before we do our next open house. So I think that's a good spot to kind of bring Scott back in. We got a lot of questions answered. So let me go ahead and do that and find out where we are.
I'm going to answer one other, Steve, while
Sure.
Scott's coming over. Adam, as far as working with an Apple, we do work with Macs. It is designed for Windows, but so you have to use. We're finding that crossover by CodeWeaver crossover works very well.
And you get a 14-day free trial, which is really nice.
Yeah,
so
you get you can check it out and see if it works, and that works very well.
All right, well, let me go to the next slide here and go back to present mode, and I'll bring Scott back in for some concluding thoughts for everybody.
Yeah, thanks, guys. There's a couple things. First of all, thank you for attending. We're going to go ahead and send you a trade of the week on Monday mornings. It'll be derived from our artificial intelligence, and it's a great introduction to trade ideas. Another thing that Steve mentioned is I've extended the open house to everyone for another day who's attending this webinar. So our normal sign-up is ending tonight at midnight. But this page, if you go to trade-ideas.com/test drive, we're leaving it open all day tomorrow too. So you can go ahead and go to the handouts panel in your GoToWebinar interface. There's a little plus next to where it says handouts. Click on that. There's a PDF there for you to download that contains this information as well as some good contact information for trade ideas as well if you end up having any questions. Just sign up to join the open house. It's $8.88. The reason we charge is it covers the exchange fees and the added customer service load because we have over 800 people in this week's and we're extending it to you all for some more. If you participate in the open house by buying the pass, you get 5 full trading days. So if you pick it up tomorrow, then you're going to have all day Thursday, Friday, and Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday to access our artificial intelligence engine, Holly, the event-based backtester, the odds maker. Come in and join our trading room when you're in the open house to ask questions, attend our webinars. It's a great way to get an introduction into trade ideas with the ability to try our premium features. And yeah, it's something we do 4 times a year, and the next one won't be until late spring. So this is a great opportunity for everyone who's attending the webinar today to get in on the open house while it's still going on. Again, trade-ideas.com/test drive or download that PDF. Now, we appreciate everyone for attending and all the questions you're asking and all that good stuff. So if you have any questions, though, following this, just go ahead and email info@trade-ideas.com. If you want to reach out to Steve, just like Dan's email there, it's steve@trade-ideas.com. Andy is andy@trade-ideas.com. We have a Facebook page, and we do post some original content there sometimes. It's not on our other publications. So you can find us at facebook.com/TradeIdeasPro. You can follow Steve Gomez at TodayTrader on Twitter, and Dan Merkin, our CEO, is TradeIdeas1. We also have the corporate Trade Ideas account, which is just at Trade Ideas, the same with our Instagram. So, Mark, you don't need to send us an email requesting the open house. Just go to that URL, trade-ideas.com/test drive, and sign up right there. You can also get that by downloading the PDF that's in your handouts panel in your GoToWebinar interface. So if anyone has any questions, just shoot us an email, info@trade-ideas.com. Again, thank everyone for attending. We will have the recording up later tonight, and you'll get an email after the recording's up with a link where to find it on our YouTube account. Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Andy, for the great presentation. Really enjoyed it today.
Great.
Thanks
for everybody tuning in.
Yep.
And hello, everybody watching this on recording. All right.
Thanks, y'all.